top 5, and they can be real or fictional, movie toys.
Top 5 movie toys. Okay, straight away, Woody. Then I'd have to go with Major Chip Hazard for 2. Is Wally considered a toy? He's more of a robot, isn't he? He's just a bin.
Can I throw one at you and you tell me if it's a good or not?
Throw away.
The Talk Boy from Home Alone 2.
Oh, yeah, nice. And a large cheese pizza.
Peter McAllister, the father. It's clearly not him.
Sorry, Peter McAllister, is something wrong? Are you having a stroke or something?
Extra large bed. One of those little refrigerators.
You got it.
You got it.
Talk Boy, yes. Okay, very good. If they extend it to TV, I'd go for Bernard's watch as well, but that's not really a toy.
Oh, it's like an
magic.
heirloom.
Yeah.
Magic heirloom.
Yeah, he didn't know how lucky he was, that bloody boy.
Didn't.
Johnny Five, is he considered a toy?
Well, he's a
robot.
He's a military.
Yeah, he's more of a
robot.
weapon.
He's a weapon.
He is a weapon.
Until he's struck by lightning, he just wants to read.
Oh, spoilers. Yeah.
Have a laugh, doesn't he? He does make Johnny Five toys in the sequel, though.
Well, that's it. It's
in Short Circuit 2.
Yeah,
he does make little robot versions of himself. So yeah, you could have Johnny Five.
Yeah, I'd like a little Johnny Five.
Yeah.
What have I got? 3 there?
I think that's 5. I've thrown in a few. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Ain't No Game, the podcast about games that are films, films that are games, and all the murky stuff in the middle. My name is James and joining me today is YouTuber, animator, work colleague and all-round great guy, Adam Flanagan.
Oh, thank you. You've got a friend in me.
Already leading us into today's topic of choice, which is the Toy Story franchise. Mm-hmm. Some would argue the perfect cinematic trilogy.
I would certainly argue that.
Soon to be a quadrilogy, though. We know where that can go wrong. Mr. Indiana Jones, Dr. Jones, and also a series of extended media, lots of computer games based on Toy Story films and other subsequent adventures. And there's also the spin-off films as well.
Toy Story Toons. There is indeed.
Indeed. So, full disclosure, we did have a pop at this yesterday, but due to various issues,
technical difficulties,
the recording was lost in the midst of time. So we are picking this up. However, you'll be pleased to know we did not exhaust the conversation yesterday.
Not at all. In fact, there was too much.
We didn't even. I didn't, even though we talked about the third one quite a lot, we didn't actually make it as far as the third film, let alone the games.
Yes.
So we can rewind, start again, cut out all the nonsense, of which there was plenty.
There was lots of that, yeah.
And
I have no problem talking about Toy Story again, though, so it's fine by me.
That's all right.
These things happen.
Well, we'll start right at the beginning. We'll rewind back to 1995. Mm-hmm. Toy Story 1, the first feature-length animated film using computer.
Yep, first fully computer-animated film.
What are your first memories, Adam?
Okay, well, 95 was actually the American release. In England, it was 96. The UK, should I say, sorry.
I've completely forgotten how old I was when I saw that at the cinema. I thought I was 14, I was 15.
I was 5 when it came out in 96. So
it makes me feel a little old.
Just a bit. He's not that much. I'd never been introduced to 3D animation, but certainly it was ahead of its time. But being 5, I wasn't aware of that. So I went to the cinema just thinking, it's just another film, not knowing that this is, way ahead of its time. And I was just blown away by it.
Yeah.
Not just because of the visuals, but the story itself. Basically, I wanted the toys, if anything. Yeah, I'm a 5-year-old. It's a big advert.
It's a giant advert for new IP.
They knew what they're doing, exactly. Yeah. So I'm very, very inspired by it. Not just the story, the characters, and it's what set me to start drawing. I began drawing the characters themselves, what would now be considered fan art. I would just constantly draw them, watch the video on a constant cycle. My mum would get tired of rewinding the tape, but I would. And it just took over my life in more ways than one, because then subsequently I've literally grown up with the franchise. It's been since I was 5 to the last film was 2010 when I was 20. It has been my whole childhood.
Well, that's very interesting, because you sort of follow the same ages as Andy.
Oh, exactly.
Within the films, from so he's a bit older in 2, isn't he? When they're moving,
12 or something.
Is it? No, they're not moving. Yeah, they are moving. Aren't
they moved at the end of the first one.
Right. Yes, and that's right. And then they have the yard sale.
That's the one. Yes.
Skipping a little bit ahead of ourselves. And then, of course, in the third one, he leaves for college / university.
And I was starting university.
And you were in a similar position. So,
yes.
So that must have been really great, that this series of films has always been very heartland for a children's audience, but they've also stuck to that whole progression of it's grown up with
with
its
the
audience as well.
That's why it resonates more with me, because on each of the films I'm of a similar age, and it's like I'm growing up with Andy.
Yeah.
Because obviously then you get to that point where you do realise, oh yeah, you do have to give up your toys. It's like giving a part of your childhood away, but you've just grown with these characters that were in films, and there was a distance between the first, second, and certainly the third, but those characters are a part of your life rather than just on a film. So even though they are film characters, having the toys and being a massive toy collector, you see them every day, and it takes it out of the realm of a film, and that's why it just resonates so much more as just art. I am hugely biased.
Yeah. So you mentioned you had the toys.
I still do.
The whole set.
So I'm still need to get RC. I've not got Jessie, which I'm not too bothered about. We'll get onto that. And most of the third ones from Toy Story 3. But I've got the original 96 ones still, and I've subsequently updated them to the Toy Story collection. That's what I spend my money on, because, big player.
So you said you were 5 when you had them.
Yes.
How are the toys you had when you were 5? Are they still still in one piece?
Well, this is the thing. Although in the first one, as much as we see Sid as the villain, I relate to him more as a child than I did to Andy.
Okay.
Andy, his toys and his room has always been top quality, not a scratch on anything. Everything's spick and span, and that's fine. He's Andy, and we all want to be.
He treats those toys very well. Doesn't
he does. We all want to be the poster boy, but any kid who grew up with Toy Story was Sid. You threw your toys around. You made a mess of them. I wanted to make my Buzz Lightyear fly. I threw him off the stairs. He is now currently beheaded with no helmet in the attic. So yes, as much as, and Woody, this is the thing. I got the 96 doll, but anyone who's a big fan knows that the 96 Woody doll is got a wire frame inside. And
okay, so you could pose him, I'm assuming.
Yes, but it was very stiff, and it was like. But that's not what the film is. He's a ragdoll in the film, and he had a big battery pack in him, so he was quite wide. Yeah, I
always got the impression he had a plastic head, and then he was just like a fabric.
Exactly, yeah.
Toy with stuffed
bits. Limbs, exactly.
Which never made sense when he started running around and stuff like that. But besides the point, we'll get to the rules.
But there's a big battery pack in him, and I wanted the ragdoll from the film, so I literally bent the wire so it snapped on both legs and arms, just so I had what was on the film.
The floppy word.
Exactly, that's what I wanted.
Which sounds so wrong.
No,
now that I've just articulated that. So I'm glad you said that you related to Sid more in a whole sort of dismantling toys and breaking them. I was quite similar with, I had He-Man toys when I was growing up.
Oh, yeah.
And still do, they're in the loft as well. And I used to replace the arms, because even though they were, looking back, a lot of the He-Man figurines, the male ones certainly, were all pretty much the same model, just with different plastic and slightly different
Copy-paste.
variants on like the gauntlets or the hands and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to swap them around all the time. So, He-Man would have Skeletor's purple arms and...
It's a mishmash.
And... So yeah, I can sort of relate to that. So yes, I'm glad that you related in that sense, because...
Only in that sense.
Because you could argue that Sid is
He's a very warped young
neglected young man.
Yes, very warped.
I mean, he's taking apart toys. He has toolboxes. I think
Yeah,
there is
got that in his
there
room?
is a bit where, like, I think you don't see the dad, but you see the beer cans.
Yes,
in front of the telly.
When the Buzz Lightyear
It's the
advert
Buzz
comes on.
Lightyear advert.
Yeah,
that's right,
and it's just there's very neglected. But what 10-year-old has a vice in their room? Why has he got a vice? What's he doing?
You'd have thought, like, maybe he progressed onto like woodwork or carpentry or something like that.
No,
he's a bin man.
He's a bin man in the third, but that makes sense because
not that there's anything wrong with that. Maybe he's paying his way through an apprenticeship or something. But
well, maybe that's a way of him to get rid of all the warpedness that happened in his childhood. Because let's remember, he literally saw toys come to life, and before that, he was experimenting in a Frankenstein style of taking toys apart. He's a very warped man at the age of 10. So gosh knows what he's going to be. He's going to be in his 20s now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just see the sort of being a bin man as an escape from reality. He has his headphones on.
I suppose if he's a similar sort of age to Andy as well, then Andy's gone the college route. He's gone straight into employment. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
After a few therapy sessions.
Yeah.
After the first.
Story. So that's actually quite interesting about the whole. So not only the toys come to life, which would be, in one sense, awesome, but in another sense, traumatic. So,
very.
all the toys in Toy Story are sentient, right? And they
Yes.
do come to life in front of Sid to get out of trouble.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Just
so
prove a point that he's bad.
Yeah, so they could do that at any point, right? Because they all freeze up in front of Andy, because they want to be played with. Ultimately, that's
their mission.
That's their purpose, is they want to be played with, so they freeze up. But if ever they get into any kind of trouble, they...
come to life.
They can come to life. And they can come to life in front of humans, right? Mm-hmm. So, even before I get to my main point, Woody gets pushed out of the window. Was he pushed? Did he fall? Hey, it's for a jury to decide. He could climb up, because he's quite acrobatic and he can do all that.
Well, he does. When the reveal
stuff.
of Buzz comes up, you see Woody... So he has the ability to climb the bed.
But throughout the whole... plot of the first one is and it's a great idea. What if a toy thought he was what he is?
Yes.
So he's convinced for the majority of the film that he is Buzz Lightyear, the Space Ranger, right, which is a great idea, because all of the toys are like, mate, get a reality check, you're a toy, and stuff like that.
Is that actual dialogue from the first film? Mate.
It's word for word. I think it was a Tom Hanks deleted scene. Right?
Oh yeah,
but
it's on the Blu-ray.
So my question and my thoughts, even as a 15-year-old, was like, if he's convinced he's a space ranger, why isn't he alive in front of Andy?
So you told me this yesterday, and I was so perplexed by it. I've seen them literally hundreds of times, and I've never thought of that. Probably because I was a child at the time, but it's so true. Like, he has every opportunity, because he's literally in that mindset that, oh, I'm a space ranger.
Why isn't he?
Why isn't he frightened by a giant human?
Why isn't he like aiming the laser at Andy and saying, "Identify yourself"?
Exactly.
And stuff.
It's only the toys. And
it would be the most. It
really messes with my mind.
It would be the most amazing toy, and it's almost. I think it's probably a big influence on a film a few years later, Small Soldiers. Where
yes, good old DreamWorks.
You've already mentioned Major Chip Hazard.
Yeah.
Thinks he's a soldier and thinks he's got to fight the
Gorgonites.
The Gorgonites.
There we go.
They're all lovable,
great lads. Yeah,
creatures.
Insaniac was my
favourite. And isn't the we are tangenting already in Small Soldiers? Am I right in thinking that when those toys are made, the soldiers are the good guys, and the Gorgonites are the bad guys, but because of the whole military chips, it reverses. They become good and placid and nice monsters, and the military are the villains. I'm not sure.
Well,
there's
that's
some
it.
kind of
It's
social
putting the army
commentary
against
or something.
Well,
there.
the Gorgonites never had a fighting chance because if you look at the Toys and Small Soldiers, they're all given weapons. Nick Nitro's got a rocket launcher. They've got knives. The Gorgonites have got Insaniac and a bloke with a rock for a hand. You know, Gollum, I believe he was called. They've not got a fighting chance, and they've literally got a Cyclops with legs. Put that against a knife?
Yeah,
you know, you're not going to win. But that's Small Soldiers. But yeah,
that's
blockbuster. That's another tangent. But yeah, I was so perplexed when you said that because I'd never thought of that.
So I'd thought about that when I was, so as I mentioned, would have been 14, 15 when I saw this in the cinema, and I loved it as well. Because it's just a great story.
Exactly, that's it.
But that was sort of question. So I've been quite sort of pleased in like recent years when I've listened to other podcasts and seen YouTube videos, and they've had similar thoughts on. Yeah. Well, hang on a minute.
Continuity.
What are the rules within this universe? I mean, it's fine. Let it go. It's a film about sentient toys. It's animated for
exactly. Yeah.
But
it's not real life.
But it kind of sort of picks and chooses the rules as and when
if you nitpick it, there's going to be
exactly. And you can do this to any film in existence, even documentaries. You can nitpick at them and see the flaws, see the cracks in the marble statues. But
you touched on something there, saying that it's still a great story, and that's all it's ever been. Like everyone always praised it for obviously being the very first 3D animated film. But at the heart, if that was 2D animation, it'd still be as good because it's not about the graphics, it's always about the story. And that's where, obviously, in comparison to, say, DreamWorks, sure, you've got a 3D film, but if the story's not strong enough, you can have the best graphics in the world, but it's always going to be about story. And that's why it's resonated so much with me, the Toy Story trilogy, because the stories have just been so strong. And that's where Pixar are obviously just the masters of their craft, because the story first. They always get the story perfect.
Absolutely.
And characters are secondary, which is the way of doing it. Like, if you look at DreamWorks, the Kung Fu Panda, you can tell straight away they thought of a panda first before a story and worked around that, rather than get what needs to be seen on screen in text first before you start characters. I know it's a creative format, but the story is always key, and that goes even for non-animated films. But yeah, it's always the story. I've said the word resonate so many times, but it really does more just with the story and the characters because they're just really iconic and they're just perfect. It is a perfect trilogy, and that's where obviously the scepticism comes in about a quadrilogy, but that's for a later date.
I think it'll still, skipping way ahead, I think, you've already said Pixar are the masters of their craft. I don't think it will be a bad film. I think from a film and Toy Story fan point of view, for me it will be more about, is it going to be a straight up sequel or is it some kind of soft reboot?
It's a standalone sequel, so there's Toy Story 1 to 3 are all continuous, but then Toy Story 4 apparently is just a whole new story that doesn't follow in the same arc as the first three. It's just a standalone movie about Woody trying to find Bo Peep, which that's where my skepticism comes in. It's like, obviously I'm still excited to see those characters again on screen, but did this story need to be told with the ending of 3, with how, again, I'm biased, but how perfect it was?
Because Bo Peep
would it ruin it?
Is absent from
Toy Story 3,
but at no point does anyone ask about her.
Exactly, she's mentioned.
So it does feel like this is a question that people asked afterwards,
right?
And now they're going, now we're answering it.
Yeah, that's quite a good theory. I was thinking of it as sort of a way of.
I just thought they just had a bad breakup and he didn't want to talk about it.
Well, in Toy Story 3, they just mentioned, she was sold off in a yard sale, and that was it.
Is that it? It's just a throwaway line?
Yeah, it was a throwaway line, exactly. So that's where it's like, could that really be a movie? And that's where I'm like...
Well, if the opening crawler of Star Wars can be a movie, then yes, it can, I guess.
True, good comparison, yeah. And leads nicely into Toy Story 2, with obviously the Star Wars references, which I didn't get as a child.
Yeah, so Toy Story 2 of the 3 is my favourite. Mm-hmm. So this was I was 18, 19 when this came out, and I did see it in the cinema as well. I saw them all in the cinema, and I saw this on a date.
Oh, that's my kind of date.
She wanted to see it as well. This wasn't me going, well, I want to go and see a kids' film. It was a mutual
romantic
agreement, and and it's so you know, I have good memories of watching this film, and I was sort of on the cusp of going to university and learning more about films and TV. So I was watching any films I could get my hands on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's film references in all of them, but this one was where I first started,
of course,
really going, oh, that's that and that's that.
It connects with the adults as well as the kids.
Yeah, yeah. So there's obviously
it's very
the
layered.
Empire Strikes Back
reference.
There's the Jurassic Park.
Yep, Rex in the
rearview mirror in the toy shop.
Things in the mirror may appear.
And I think even story-wise for me, so I've never gotten rid of my old toys.
Same.
Call that, you know, I'd maybe call it hoarding or not letting go of my past, but now I can kind of get away with calling it collecting.
Young at heart.
Young at heart, innit? So I kind of, I'm not on his side because he's got very unscrupulous methods, but
he's a thief.
But I'm kind of with Big Al and his collection, and so he's got toys in like glass cabinets.
Yes,
I now have toys in glass cabinets.
I have toys, but I don't have glass cabinets. But yes, that's where I wasn't introduced to that world, because obviously I'm still young. I don't know about collectors. To me, they're just playthings as what the toys in the film want to be.
So that's the thing, and I guess from a child's perspective, you could look at him and be like, "Oh, yeah, he's a meanie because he's an adult. He's an adult, and he wants toys. That's not
weird.
That's not right." But I think where Toy Story 2 sort of really stepped up as being a film not just for children but for parents. This was released at a time when sort of Star Wars was back in a big way with
Phantom Menace,
its own trilogy.
That's another podcast.
But the original trilogy had been fairly recently re-released in the cinemas with a special edition, and so the old toys had really sort of come back to the forefront of these old 70s and 80s Star Wars toys are now worth something, and if you never got rid of them, so collecting at the time was quite big. So I think Pixar really sort of hit the nail on the head as we can tap into
of course
another
layer
audience mindset. So while again I'm not fully with him, you know, running away with Woody and sort of wanting to sell them all off to a museum and stuff, but because you know he wants the full set so he can sell the full set.
Yeah, it's for profit.
And you get the idea that he probably was a Woody's Roundup fan. It's not just a random thing he started to collect.
Yeah, it's like a black and white TV series.
Yeah, but he's obviously been offered money for this collection. But you do kind of not see the mindset, but it's like, but I get that collecting
you do want it
element.
I totally get that now. Like I'm still on the lookout for RC.
Yeah.
But I totally get it. But it's just it's as a child you don't see that perspective. You see a toy in a glass case, the symbolism, they're a prisoner to this guy. He's got everything. He's a crazy fan, you know, and you're thinking, well, toys are meant to be played with. But as you grow up with them, it's like, well, toys are primarily for children, but if they're a part of you, then you do want to sort of grow with them and not keep them pristine, because it's like you're keeping a part of your childhood. So I totally looking back now and get that, and that's the beauty of the Toy Story 1 and 2 as well. You can watch it as you grow older and you get a lot more. Like you were saying, the Star Wars thing. Never seen Star Wars in my life when it came out in 99, 2000. But then obviously I watch it back, and it's the same so before Toy Story 3 came out, they re-released them in cinemas, the original two. Of course, I went to see them in 3D, and in the first film when Mr. Potato Head puts his features differently and goes, "Hey, look, I'm Picasso. You uncultured swine." I didn't get that as a kid. I just thought he was just doing a funny face. But now, of course, it's like, oh yeah, Picasso, he's an artist, and that's how strong and layered and so perfect it is that they concentrate not only on it being a kids' film primarily, but they really do think of that, as you say, that layer of different audiences.
Yeah, I mean, there's even like the throwaway lines where Ham is reading the driving book and said, "I doubt he's getting this sort of mileage." And you're like, how do you know? but I love that it's so throwaway. You don't really stop to think about it until afterwards. You just,
of course,
what?
Well, you could probably relate to Rex in Toy Story 2 about wanting to beat the game, and he's got his walkthrough guides. They were a thing in 2000s. I remember going in game, and you want to buy a walkthrough guide.
They do still sell them, but it's all online now. You can get your chips.
Yeah, of course, that's it,
and whatnot. And that's right, because he's got the little arms, and he can't.
I can't press down as I press up. Yeah, that's it. And he's got a walkthrough guide, and that is, as you say, it's topical in that regard for obviously the collectors. But again, you could argue as well that video games are sort of becoming bigger than toys at the time of like the early 2000s. Obviously, the PlayStation 2's just been released, so it's tapping into that market as well. And this is where I'm thinking, will Toy Story 4 be about smartphones? Because looking at the teaser, there's a character called Forky, and that's like a creative.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen the thing on Instagram.
Teaser,
but yeah, it looks
like a craft
again,
project.
Going back to the whole rules of the universe.
Oh yeah,
it looks like you can create something out of bits and bobs.
Yeah,
and those can become
so long as it's got eyes and a mouth. Yeah. That's something I'm with you there.
Yeah.
It's like, right, what are the rules here then? Because that is technically just cutlery.
And Toy Story 2 has the moment where all the toys cross the road to get to
it's the cones,
the toy barn. And whatnot, and that is in broad daylight in public. Yes, they're hiding under cones, and it is a really funny scene. But at the same time, it's like, well, if you're going to rescue him, just go rescue him. Exactly,
that's it. If these cars say they're going at 40 miles an hour, a driver's going to go, are those cones moving?
Who tells the toys when they're made, shh, you've got to keep your existence secret?
Oh, yeah. Why do they have to sort of abide by the rules that they're not aware of?
Yeah, considering they break them in the first one. To avoid getting out of being blown up.
Well, yeah, how did Buzz Lightyear get in a giant...
regardless, that's the thing, nitpicking aside, it's a really funny bit where that wasn't so bad. Like, everything's right.
The giant roller. Again, a very good scene, but obviously just missing it. But you've just broached on something there with, obviously, toys coming to life. That's actually made me think, in Toy Story 1, when they go to Pizza Planet, Sid obviously plays on the games console, that alien-esque looking one where it's like whack-a-mole.
Them. Yeah, that's right.
Could they come
it's
to
a
life
reference
as well?
to Alien.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Again, another reference I didn't get, but
there's even like the Shining reference with the carpet in Sid's house.
Oh yeah, of course.
The
the design. Yeah,
and it's in the audio commentary, and and please feel free to rip this apart in the comments if I'm wrong. But I'm sure they say there's a bit. There was a bit originally in the storyboards. I don't think it's in the film now, where when Woody realises he's a toy and he's at like the tea party.
Buzz, you mean?
Buzz, sorry.
Yeah, Mrs. Nesbit.
And there was going to be a bit where Woody picks up the arm and slaps him in the face.
Oh yeah.
And in like the commentary, or it's on the DVD. They said that it was going to be a reference to Commando. Where Arnie gets on the bloke's arm and slaps him. That's not a thing. That does not happen. But it's quite cool. I mean, it's the kind of preposterous thing that would happen in an 80s Arnie film. But I love that.
Oh yeah, wow!
I love that the animators were in that mindset of
that's it. They
putting in the things
references
they love as well, and getting away with it in kids' films. And there's the sexual innuendo jokes as well about no one takes my wife's lips. Things like this. There's all sorts of stuff, which and they repeat viewing at any age. I look forward to if and when I have children and can watch those films.
Of course, and it's also very self-aware. Like obviously, Toy Story 2 mentions Barbie mentions.
Oh yeah,
in 1995, short-sighted retailers didn't order enough Buzz Lightyears to meet demand. It's just so ingenious in a way that not only they can layer cultural references, but they can be so self-aware.
Yeah,
and that's where the beauty of those films, Pixar in particular, just reigns supreme over, say, the likes of DreamWorks, because in years to come, I can't even remember it. Who's gonna remember the film Home? Do you remember that film? It was a DreamWorks film about a little purple alien.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
Sheldon
I think
Cooper
I know
did the
now
voice.
You said
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. It's already forgotten.
Yeah.
It's
And,
because they look at characters first rather than the story.
And that's the thing. I mean, Toy Story 2, as I've mentioned, is my favourite one. But quite famously originally meant to be a straight-to-DVD
Yes.
film.
So
Straight to video.
obviously the success of it, Disney wanted to make a sequel, but without Pixar's permission, because they owned the rights to it. So they had their own...
So without their
launch
involvement,
company.
right?
Oh, yeah, sorry, yes. Without their involvement, yes. The original idea was, I remember saying yesterday, it was that all the Buzz Lightyears have been recalled because there's an error with them or something.
Faulty,
they're faulty. So they've all been getting shipped back to Taiwan, and then the toys want to follow them to Taiwan to get their Buzz back.
Yeah.
And it didn't resonate as much. You could say, I've said that word again, but you could say that it's basically Toy Story 2 as we know it, but from the element of Buzz.
Yeah, it's not a... That doesn't sound like a bad story.
No, of course
bad
not.
idea for a story, like a toy breaking and product recall, something, quite common in certain industries.
Yeah.
Cars, for example, and phones.
Not Cars the film,
Recently,
but yeah.
no, not Cars. Or you could recall them if you want.
Although again, speaking of sequels, Cars 2 is awful, and so that's where
Secret Agents cars, aren't they?
And that's where the sort of skepticism of Toy Story 4 comes in. It's like, okay, yeah, but I mean, Pixar, you are very good at what you do, but look at Cars 2. It wasn't good.
Yeah.
I think it's got like 11% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, so that's where
I haven't seen it. A friend of mine, Ben, who's a friend of the podcast, been on the show. He told me that there is because it's about secret agent cars.
Yes,
there is a bit where I think the villains are like making a fuel that is like a poison or an acid or something.
Yes,
and
it's like
they
petrol that
and they put it into a car and kill it.
Yes, yes,
like while it's tied down or something.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. What is this? Yeah, it's very strange.
If that was human beings, it'd be horrific.
Yeah, of course it would be. But yeah, we're skipping ahead. But yeah, but that's what intrigued me when you said Toy Story 2 was your favourite, because for me it's the weakest. But that's only because the third one, as I say, being that age and how they pulled on your heartstrings, they knew what they were doing. And it's just a nostalgia fest, and I'm admitting it. I'm never not going to admit it. I cried in the cinema.
Yeah, okay. I think it's a
3.
perfect opportunity to sort of move on to 3. I saw it in the cinema. I cried as well, because I think, again, there's something in the Toy Story films that anyone can relate to, because whether you are a child or you're not a child, and because you were a child and you had toys,
of course,
so you do have the fond memories of playing with them.
Had those toys.
If you're second one, you collect toys or you sell toys on eBay. There's an element of I get it, and then the third one. At some point, we've all had to let go of
course,
and it's not just toys. I think there's a lot.
Childhood.
There's a lot to be said about you're letting go of your childhood, but also
it's growing up,
sort
it's
of
inevitable.
letting go of other things that sadly leave us.
It's
in
letting
life.
you know that exactly,
and,
that is life. It's inevitable,
and it hits you twice.
Of course, it does,
because you can't not talk about the incinerator scene.
Yes, that is the big one.
It's
where the tears came.
So you were what, 1920 when that came out.
Yes,
I was older, and so I was like knocking 30 at the time, and I really thought for a second this could this could be it.
I thought they were going to die.
Like really deep down, I was like, there's no way
they're going to crush them.
They're going to end it with this.
Yeah.
But there was a bit of me that was thinking, well, I don't know, Pixar, they could do it.
Disney have killed characters in the past.
Exactly.
Look at The Lion King. So it's not bad. Look at Bambi. You know,
I know.
That's going back. Disney have killed characters. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not prone to the death of characters. But
I think there's a theory about Bambi's mum getting shot by Gaston, but I think that's...
oh, really?
Yeah, about how there's like theories about how all the Disney films are connected, and some say that Bambi's mum was shot by Gaston, the hunter from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, that's really picking it. Because there's a Pixar theory that I mentioned yesterday that all the Pixar films are connected. And it just makes sense.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think I've read that theory, and it's very good, and it is very in depth, and I do like a lot of the ideas in there.
Yeah.
I'm very much of the opinion it's just Easter eggs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's what they've always done. Yeah, there's a Pizza Planet truck here. You know, Boo from Monsters Inc. in Toy Story 3. It's just like, oh yeah, references. But I mean, it's a beautiful theory. But I think it's just shoehorned in. But I also mentioned to you yesterday the theory of why in the Toy Story franchise Andy only has a mum.
Right. Yes.
There's a very dark theory that is so Andy's dad was on his deathbed.
Right.
With Woody, and it was the last thing he gave Andy before he died, for some reason, of polio. Out of nowhere.
Where's polio come from?
They just wedged that in, and...
So what, Andy's brought to the hospital.
Yeah.
His dad in the iron lung.
Yeah, it's just...
Here you are, son, here's a cowboy.
Sir, do you want to put the toy down?
Here's a toy from the 60s.
Yeah, exactly. You're about to go into the surgery. Can you... Well, no, I'm going to hold on to this and give it to my son later. It's just like, it's very strange. But there's also... So on that very dark theory, that's bad. But on the other end of that, the beautiful theory about Emily, the owner of Jessie, being Andy's mum.
Right, well, yeah, that makes sense.
It's really beautiful.
There's the hat
that
hat. Andy has. And, and then especially
like
in
Jessie's.
the second one, when they established that Woody's Roundup was a 60s show.
Exactly.
So would have been around about the same time when Andy's mum was very young. And
in Jessie's flashback, there is obviously the 70s, 60s reference when Jessie gets put under the bed because there's like disco posters and she gets a record player. So it links, it really does. And again, Toy Story 2 made me cry because of that song, When Somebody Loved Me.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's fine. I was a child, but Toy Story 3, I was an adult, and yes,
I like
cried.
Bullseye. Bullseye's good.
I do like Bullseye, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, he doesn't talk or has any dialogue, but looking at him, he's just a faithful horse.
Yeah.
And, he's a bit comical where he's licking Al's fingers with the cheesy puffs.
Expression. So they eat now, do they?
Oh yeah, exactly. That's you blow my mind apart. It's like, they don't eat throughout the film, but he's licking. Well, where's that going? Yeah, how's digestion working within toys?
I mean, I love What's-Its as much as anyone.
Exactly. Who doesn't? But yeah, how these and that's what's going on. What have they got vocal cords? How are they coming to life?
Yeah. Reading way too much into it. So yeah, Toy Story 3. Andy's on his way to college.
Yes.
The toys, and Woody's going to go with him. Was it Woody and Buzz who are going to go?
So
and the rest of them are going to go in the attic, but they're put in a bin bag. The bin bag gets thrown out. Whoops.
So yes, he was going to just take Woody with him.
Do they get into a box and then end up at the
he
day centre?
He looks in his toy chest and gets out all his old childhood favourites: Rex, Ham, Buzz, Jessie. Good old Shark, yeah. And he puts them in a bin bag, but it's to go into the loft. Yeah. But his mum mistakes it as going to the garbage. Right. So, but then obviously they have an escape scene, and then the only way to get back in the room is through the car. But they put themselves in the Sunnyside daycare box, and that gets taken to the nursery. But obviously Woody wasn't giving up, so he makes his way back. Yeah. And obviously, again, at Easter egg, you see Sid. As the bin man. Yeah.
But, so I love how the third one is like a sort of Great Escape /
of course, yeah, totally.
Shawshank Redemption style story. Yeah. So many good characters. I mean, Ken steals it.
Yes, very good. Very good. I wouldn't have thought he would have been a strong character because Barbie I thought was throwaway, but Ken really stands out.
Yeah,
and
really
that monkey in Toy Story 3 is frightening. It is literally frightening, and that's actually a real toy from the 50s, apparently.
Yeah,
that is so scary.
I don't know if you've seen Woman in Black.
I've not known.
Film version with Harry Potter.
Oh yes,
Daniel
I've heard
Radcliffe.
of it. Yes,
the Daniel Radcliffe Woman in Black has because they're quite Victorian-esque little wind-up toys that made noise and stuff. But
terrifying.
But he's so funny, and especially like when they're in that room and he sees them, he's like,
yeah. When he just turns around with those big bulbous evil eyes. And
don't have a go at the eyes, mate,
because that's astigmatism that I'm at the age of. But I was watching that in 3D, and when that monkey turned around, I jumped out my seat.
I saw it in 3D as well, and what I did like about it was it's more the depth.
Yes.
You got rather than things flying out at you, which is usually the gimmick.
Yeah, they just shoehorn it in afterwards.
And it felt like you were looking sort of into a window, and it worked really well. But and
that's again, they use old toys because they chatter telephone as well. So they're really...
Yeah, we had that telephone when I was growing
really?
up. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I love it that he's like they broke me, kid.
Oh yeah. You want to make it out of here, cowboy?
Like a bit ripped and
he's like the atypical sort of you weren't there, man. Sort of vet.
Yeah, he's like sort of hardened and sort of used to his surroundings. I love that. And the baby's great as well.
Big baby,
yeah, with the sort of funny eye. It's like creepy, but like
exactly. It's very, very creepy. But that goes back to Toy Story 2 as well. As I always preferred Stinky Pete to Lotso as a character because I can understand his mission, Stinky Pete, but Lotso is a dime a dozen, and I think Stinky Pete's a stronger villain than Lotso. Yeah.
So I've always been, and this goes beyond this. Lots of people probably have very similar thoughts that villains and heroes should kind of want the same thing, but they're going about it different ways.
Yeah,
and a story you're seeing from a certain point of view.
Yep.
So you see a story from a hero's point of view, therefore you side with them because they do something good.
Of course,
or they do something that
they're the protagonist.
Makes you think, hey, they're good and everything like that. And so Stinky Pete is a good example of there's a bit more to the villain because
there's a backstory.
You kind of get why it's my time to bring joy to children because I've always been in a box. I've always been on this bloke's shelf in his collection, and now is my chance to not get played with, but to bring that joy that I'm guessing toys feed on, other than.
What's it?
Well, you can. But that's what they feed on. That's his chance, and like Woody's ruining it because he wants to get back to his owner. Do they ever throw him a lifeline? Like, why didn't you come along as well?
Yeah, exactly. Pete. Do you want to come to? No, he stitches himself up. Was a stitch up. Good pun, obviously, because Woody's arm falls off. But I looking back now, I get the feeling that Stinky Pete was. So you've got the Woody's Roundup gang. I gather he's the toy that nobody really wanted, so this is why he wanted more.
He's the booster.
I was going to say he's Booster. Nobody wants Booster. Booster sucks. Yeah, he's the Booster. Like, it's just like, I'll get it just for the collection. That's why he's in a box. Like, he has goals. He wants to be part of something. He finally wants to have what he
it's
never got.
It's like I belong to this collection and I can finally bring people in this museum happiness.
Exactly.
And Woody's ruining it. So you do, as much as he is...
So his aims, you can relate.
You kind of get why he's like, no, we've got to go and you've got to come with me and you can go in, you can come with me as you are, you can come in bits and, he's threatening and stuff like that. But so Lotso, when you do see his backstory is, it is a sad story, toys are abandoned and, replaced
of course,
at times and stuff like that. But he's let it consume him completely.
Yes, yeah.
Like,
he's become a gangster in a sense. He's got his clan.
Like, there isn't, especially at the end, there isn't anything redeemable about him.
No, because just desserts.
Yeah, because the toys do save him when they could ditch him, and then he chooses not to save them.
Yes,
and you think, I think he got off quite lucky being strapped to the front of that lorry.
Well, that's another thing. I much preferred the way that Toy Story 2 got Stinky Pete rather than Lotso, because Stinky Pete got put in a backpack with Barbie. You're going to love Emily. She's creative.
Artist.
Yeah. Yeah, I much preferred that than the being put on a garbage truck, like with all the stickers.
Yeah.
So that's where the villains in the Toy Story world, I as much as obviously Toy Story 3 is my second favourite, I do believe Stinky Pete's a stronger character than Lotso. But it's just it's just so well made. I can't find a fault in them. I really can't, and I'm incredibly biased.
And moving away from Toy Story 3, I'll briefly mention the shorts. There's the
Toy Story Toons, yep.
There's the Halloween.
Yep, Toys of Terror.
Toys of Terror, and the
Partysaurus Rex.
The land of the I want to say Land of the Lost. It's not called Land of Time. The
Time
Toy
Forgot.
Story that Time Forgot.
They're
great.
They're very good. Exactly.
Really good, fun little shorts.
And this is what I made a video about ages ago. So I said you could make as many as those as you want. Toy Story 2 is perfect, but when you're making a standalone film that's within this constraint of you've created this world of Toy Story 1 to 3, and it's been so huge, and it is, as people say, the perfect trilogy. Could this not have been something you could have done as a toon? Does it have to be a movie? If it's and this is where I think the whole shoehorn element comes in for the upcoming fourth one. That's why I'm skeptical. Of course, I'll see it.
Yeah.
But because I've grown up with it. It's like, right, is this necessary?
Yeah. You grew up with the Toy Story films, the Toy Story toys.
Oh, I did. Still do.
How did the computer games fare into your childhood and growing up?
So when the first one came out, there was Toy Story on the Mega Drive.
Yep.
Genesis, if you're American. And that was my brother's Mega Drive, so I never got to play it. He bought the Toy Story game. He's my older brother. I didn't get to play it. It's typical older brother, like, oh, I'm buying this, but you're not getting to play it.
I'm the eldest, and well, my brother and I shared a Mega Drive, and we had games that were ours, and we had games that we shared.
Yep.
So, like, my brother had Aladdin, and I'd play it
Good game.
now and then, but it was his and stuff. But we did share, so we can't relate. But so I'm assuming you have played Toy Story on the Mega
I have
Drive.
only on an emulator though. But, so it still counts.
But you did own the cartridge. I'm throwing that in for legal reasons.
Yes, I did own the cartridge.
Own the original cartridge.
But yes, and I can certainly see, because obviously was 16-bit the Mega Drive. 32?
Yeah, it was quite a big cartridge from what I remember, as in capacity rather than it being a larger than average cartridge. But yeah, I didn't have it back in the day. I own it now as part of my gaming collection.
I think it's really fun.
Terrific.
Yeah.
It's really good. I mean, it might have been
graphics
like how they did. So Aladdin, the
side-scroller,
Dave Perry, who produced that game, they worked with Disney animators.
Oh, nice.
Which is why it looks so fluid.
Yeah.
And it looks
2D,
so good.
like the film.
And Toy Story, it was Traveller's Tales.
Yes.
Did it? I imagine it was a similar route. They used assets or had bespoke
it looks
animation.
like it, yeah.
But it looks like it. It plays pretty much beat for beat like the film as
even
well.
Even the backdrops, yeah. Like obviously you can bounce on the Luxo ball as
well.
Yeah. And that's beautiful. But I totally get it, like, because that must have been a task getting a 3D animated film into 16-bit. But it just looks like
it follows the story.
It does, yeah. It really does. It's really good.
So
you start off in Andy's room.
You've got to get the toys away for the party.
You collect the
stuff.
stars.
You've got to release the soldiers so that they can go and see what's going on.
And they have the little.
You've got to get them the radio and stuff.
It's like Lemons, yeah. And you walk up the rope. Yeah, it's a really great game. I really enjoyed it, and that's where it's just like, it just works. And I've only done the first level. That's the only bad thing. As much as I love Toy Story, I only did the first level of it because I went on to Toy Story 2, which was the game I played.
Okay, so you'd have been a bit older. So is that PS1?
PS1, yep.
Okay, so Toy Story 2. What was the thinking behind that as a game?
So they took the aspect of getting Buzz, saving him from Woody, and you play as Buzz throughout the whole game.
Okay.
And you do each level and from the movie, but they expand them more. So the airport, the whole entire level of the airport, you get to sort of go on the luggage line.
Okay.
And that's really good. And there's finding coins and that bit. But then you also do the elevator scene, and you do that as a whole level, like climbing up and avoiding things.
Yeah. Do you fight Zurg at all? Or?
You can fight Zurg. Yes, I haven't got to it, but you can fight.
And
Zurg.
is that a 3D game, or is it similar to the?
No, it's 3D.
Mega Drive?
Yeah. So
okay, so is it quite blocky, or are they quite animated?
So Buzz has a very squashed face for his asset, but it is 3D. You can turn him around to face the camera, and it is very good at the time. I was, it's like, wow,
and
very impressive.
You said you played it the other day. Does it still hold up?
No,
no, but that's the thing. A lot of these games seldom do hold up, and it's more about the nostalgia you have.
Oh, of course, yeah.
For how you felt when you first played it. Or
it up-reses it on the PS4, so that's not going to help. But it's again, like with the films, it's the actual game rather than the graphics that draw you in, because it is an adventure game and it is really good.
Yeah.
So even if it was it was pixels or it was a sprite sheet, it would still work. It's just an incredible game, and it also does make a reference to what happens in Toy Story 2 with the game.
Okay.
With Rex, so that's very good.
Okay.
Yeah, it is very good.
That's good. So, I imagine Toy Story 3 did have a game.
It did. It had. So I have got it on the PS3. Yeah.
Okay.
And it had a mode called Toy Box, which actually started, Disney Infinity. The ones with the little dolls.
Yes.
So Toy Story 3, the video game, they created it, and the Toy Box mode was where you create your own adventure. You create a western, or you create a space level, and you can very much Sims-esque. You can put this here, that there, saloon, but then you play them as well.
Okay, it's like a level builder.
Yes, exactly. That's it. It's Toy Box mode. You build it and then you play
Little
it.
Big Planet.
Yes, exactly. Yes, you build it and then you play it, and that was so popular. People love that more than the actual story mode again, which is fine.
So was that just again followed a very similar plot to the film?
Yeah, beat for beat, and obviously the graphics, held with it, so it really works. Yeah. But it was Toy Box mode that really stood it out, and that's literally what started off Disney Infinity. A whole Toy Story 3's one game mode started off a whole subsection of toys, and because didn't they have like a little platform that you put on?
You plug like a platform into your console, and then the toy would have some kind of reader on it, so you'd put the toy on top of the reader.
Oh yeah,
and it would communicate, and so the toy you had would then become an asset in the game.
Yeah,
that's my. I could be a little bit wrong with that. I don't have any of the Infinity or Lego Dimensions, but I imagine that's how it works. There's some kind of chip that talks to the platform that.
It's like a monster game, but I can't remember as well. There was
is it Skylanders?
That's the one, yeah, with the little dolls, and and it just inspired a whole new game, which I think it's defunct now. But yeah, it is a really fun game mode on Toy Story 3. I only play toy mode it's just like the story you do once, it's throwaway. But the Toy Box mode is great because you can just go anywhere you want with it.
Wow,
it is great. You're literally Andy again.
Right.
You create everything.
Worth seeking out?
I definitely, certainly. If you can go to like a second-hand store and get it for like £5 or something, it's definitely worth it. Just for that.
Because you've heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. That's Toy Story 3 and Toy Story on the Mega Drive. Probably worth picking up.
I'd love to actually. Because I've got the case, but not the cartridge.
That sucks.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I think.
Where's that gone?
I was hidden it. Yeah, I think it actually might be in the loft. Yeah, literally is.
Yeah,
regarding that. Yeah, because but a really good game. I also had Toy Story 2 on the Game Boy Color, and that was similar to Toy Story on the Mega Drive.
Okay, so that was a platformer.
Yeah, and that was really fun as well. But obviously very pixelated. You couldn't really tell.
Yeah, well, it only had a certain amount of resolution.
Not got a good processor.
And if they were going to make maybe they will for Toy Story 4, but if they were going to make a Toy Story game now, what would be your sort of perfect Toy Story game? Would it be something very similar to the Toy Box mode, or would it be
I'd like
open world? Because the Toy Story characters are appearing in the new Kingdom Hearts game, which is being very good, hyped at the moment. It does look fantastic. It's not my cup of tea, but
I'm not familiar with it, but you've touched on what I want exactly. A sandbox game for Toy Story. You get to explore, like, you've got the missions, but you get to explore. You can go out Andy's house, you can go out, you can go to Al's toy barn, you can look through that. That would be that you can explore the world that's created on screen.
So like a GTA.
Yeah, literally, but without the
Red
violence.
Dead Redemption 2.
With toys.
But with toys and the world they live in.
And obviously, possibly like Spider-Man on the PS4, like there'll be side missions as well.
So there's a main thread story, say you're getting Woody back from Big Al.
Yeah, but then it's like, collect 10 of the chicken heads that Al's got, or, collect all the big bugs, or collect 5 safety cones or something like that.
Yeah.
Like a sandbox game like that would be perfect. Like, just to explore, because there's so many different
I could see
worlds.
the appeal of that.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Like, look at the world that they've created. Go to Pizza Planet in the first film. Go to Al's apartment in the second. Go to Sunnyside.
A child-friendly GTA.
Exactly, that's it, yeah. Woody will not kill Bo Peep. But I've also played on the Wii, Toy Story Mania. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No, I don't know.
So that's based on an actual ride in Toy Story Land now, but in Walt Disney World. It's like a very sort of amusement park game. The real actual ride is obviously like, you're knocking down X, Y, and Z, monkeys and that. But doing it on the Wii, it's really good because it actually had this attachment that's like a little gun thing that you like get the dartboard, and it's just a series of mini games. But you're playing these funfair games with the Toy Story world. It knackers your arm. It really does. But it's a really fun game.
Funny, that's just reminds me. My brother used to work in Euro Disney in Paris. And they had a Toy Story themed ride there as well, where it was like a Buzz Lightyear ride.
It's where you get the Zeds.
Yeah, you were in like a cart.
Yeah, you have to shoot
and you had to shoot like Zergs, minions,
and all the aliens. Yeah, and you've got all the Zeds everywhere.
Yeah, and you had like a point tally on your front of your cart and stuff. Yeah, that was good fun.
That's a really good one. That would be quite a good sort of game as well.
Like an on-rail shooter.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Especially with like a Switch or something or a Wii. But that's where the Toy Story Mania, because it is actually on the PS3 and Xbox 360 as well, but it's just D-pad and the X buttons. I think the whole beauty of it with the Wii is that you actually literally feel like you're on a fairground, and it is actually really fun. Definitely worth picking that up if you've got an original Wii.
Okay, and funny enough, the fourth one looks like it's partially going to be set at a fun fair.
Yeah, so so they could actually cross that. Yeah, they could actually use those elements of
VR Toy Story.
Oh, that'd be great.
Well, you're in the toy box. Oh,
from the perspective of a toy, you get to see everything huge.
Yeah, and you've got to freeze when the humans come in.
I broke my headset.
Or not, because you're in trouble. Start running around.
Do I eat the Cheetos or not? Do I have a digestive system?
Yeah.
That's quite good. Toy Story VR. I think you're onto something there. Well, there ain't no game that you can't do.
Yeah.
Tied it in.
Well, I think that's probably a good spot to wrap things up. Adam, thanks very much again for talking about Toy Story.
I can talk about it
anytime
and any day.
But yes, thanks for all your amazing memories and insight into the world of Pixar. I've learned a few things. Maybe you've learned a few things.
Yeah, He-Man.
Maybe you listening have learned a few things. Or are cross that we got some stuff wrong. Let us know.
There will be.
Either way. So Adam, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Hope to have you again soon to talk about more video game and film crossovers.
Always.
And thank you to you. Thank you very much for listening. If you do want to get in touch, we're on Twitter at Ain't No James. You can just search Ain't No Game as well. You'll find me. And also on Instagram as well, where you can see images of video games and film-based video games, which I share from my own collection. You can always hit me up and give me a follow on there. And we're also on Facebook as well at facebook.com/ain'tnogame if you want to leave us a comment about any film or game-based crossovers that you'd like us to talk about in the future, or even if you want to tell us that we're wrong about things, which we probably are because we are not experts in this. This is purely hobby-based and nostalgia-based.
Exactly.
So thank you very much for listening, and we hope to catch you again soon on the next podcast. Adam, again, thank you, and thanks for listening. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.